Welcome back, everybody. This is Night Flight. I'm Judith Kober, and today I'm here with Jill Mattson. She is a sound healing composer. She is an artist. She is an award-winning author, and I'm very happy to have her here. So, Jill, welcome to Night Flight.
Thank you for inviting me. I'm looking forward to shooting the breeze.
Yeah, oh, by the way, and her website is Jill's Wings of Light.
Yes.
So that we
Thank
have
you.
that out of the way right away. And of course, the link will be down below. So where I would like to start is maybe you can explain to us why we would be better off if we understood disease from the perspective of frequency.
Sure. First of all, think that everything's energy. We all agree on that. That's not a leap. And energy vibrates, and you can count the cycle per second. If it's in our hearing range and or loud enough, it creates a sound that we can hear. Just because it's too small of a volume for us to hear doesn't mean it's not there. So there's frequencies that impact us significantly that we don't hear. Either they're out of our hearing range, high or low, or the volume's so low. Most of the things going in our body are in a very low volume. And in fact, our voice contacts our vagus nerve, and it goes through the far reaches of our body. And every time we speak, we're projecting the energy of who we are. All of us, our liver, our big toe, the emotional fight we had last night. It's all in this matrix, and we're holographic. So for one, it comes out in our voice. And another thing that I think people don't really quite understand is that, yes, we are energy, and all that energy is frequency. So think more of a matrix or a ball of sounds. But we're also changed by sounds. So if we eat a banana, that energy is going to be energy. It's going to have a certain frequency. And let's say we need potassium for something. That's a frequency that never varies. It's always the same. So the periodic chart of elements, everything, has its own characteristic frequency. So if we need potassium for some job in our body, we can eat that banana, take a potassium pill, or perhaps listen to the frequency of potassium. And yes, we ingest those frequencies. I have Deep Wave Beauty CD, in which I have frequencies of vitamins in the muscles in your face and neck, because you ingest that, and collagen. So it has a beautiful youthening effect and tunes your whole muscular body. So two things. One is we are a conglomeration of frequencies, and our body processes our chemical formulas. Think that digestion, chemical formula, and if you put in the cycle per second into each item, then you'll see that the math works. So we could say that we're mathematics expressed as frequencies. That would be quite accurate. A lot of things here. One is that science and medicine has a lot of great cures for many things, but not all. There's still things we're learning. You can go in the body, and this is the work of Sherry Edwards, and I have a book on her work called Secret Sounds, Ultimate Healing. You can go in and watch somebody, let's say, with Parkinson's, and you can see what frequencies are out of whack, which gives you incredible insight. It like catapults you into the future to understand what's going on in Parkinson's. And then you can look at the counternote, what frequency undoes that lack of harmony or completes that chemical formula. And then it's kind of like you're reverse engineering, so that you can go on in sound, and you can get these kind of sound treatments from Sherry Edwards, and it's described, you want to learn about it, it's in my Secret Sounds book, or I think her site is Sound Health Options. It's like Shari Edwards, really, if you want to spell it. Anyway, and she'll look at what's out of tune and simply put you back in tune. So one reason it's good for biology to look at sound is that we don't have a cure for everything.
Mhm.
And simply by looking at the sound, even if we want to cling to science, we can take a look at what's going on and then set up an experiment in science, which we already know the answer, to just verify. So we reverse engineer when we have chemistry and physics and biology and audiology in our body. So the second, that's one. And then, so I would say, gosh, I shouldn't use this word because governments get after you. How can I say it? You can tell what's out of tune.
Mhm.
For example, let's say in your spine, well, this happened to a friend of mine. She was treating for a chiropractor for pain in her spine. It turns out she had stomach cancer.
Oh.
They're close by. And it's difficult for a physician when the pain, when you talk about pain in your back, to make the leap that it's not pain in your back, it's pain in the back of your stomach. Whereas if you look at your frequencies, there's, oh, look at that cute kitty. I love animals. Perfect little tail there. Anyway, sorry. So now I'm going to have to think where I am. So anyway, you can look exactly what's wrong. When you look at your body in terms of frequencies and what's in tune, there's no question that it's the intonation problem would be coming from your stomach versus the back of your spine. So really two reasons. One is that we can be very accurate and we can take a good look at what's going on. It's a quick, easy way. And then when we look at our body in terms of harmony and frequencies, we can even give ourselves a frequency treatment, or even say, oh, well, you need XXX frequency, which is the same as a banana. Make sure you eat one a day.
Mm-hmm. So would it be fair to say that every disease has a specific frequency?
Excuse me, I can't hear you.
Oh.
Yeah.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, I can't interrupt. Okay, sorry.
Okay. I didn't know if you were starting. Okay.
Yeah, sorry.
Okay, so is it fair to say that every disease has a specific frequency?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Or frequency pattern or signature. It might be a couple things. So, like I know I did music for Ebola for Sherry Edwards, and she gave me about 9 to 10 different frequencies.
Mm-hmm. Okay, and
so you're either like here's another explanation. Let's say a cancer's 10 cycles per second. If you give it 1/10, over time that cancer is going to explode because 10 times 1/10 cancels out. So that's a quick and easy way to think of a virus or a germ, get its frequency, and cancel it out. Another way you can approach things is to look at what things in your body support your immune system and the overcoming of the impact of a virus, and give yourselves those sounds or those foods or those nutritions.
mm-hmm. And we can determine that by analyzing our voices?
Yes. Everything in your body has energy, and it's all combined in your voice.
Mm-hmm.
Think that your voice at 10 sounds much different than 50. Think that your voice is different in different moods.
Yes.
So your energy comes in on your voice. Your thoughts come in on your voice. Your voice has even been used as lie detector. And it's quite transparent, showing up dissonance when we're not telling the truth. And it even goes further than that. If it's put into your body, which must be conscious, in my opinion, truth is not just a black and white lie. Like I say, my name's Frank, my name's Jill. And notice when I said Jill, how much fuller and stronger
Mm-hmm.
my voice was. But it's in terms of maybe perhaps little lies I tell myself. So let's say I want to be a forgiving person. I want to be a good person. So somebody hurts my feeling. And I say, oh, goodness gracious, don't worry about it. It's not a problem. I forgive you. Well, I'm an artist. So then the next 3 months, I'm painting about it. And I'm painting all this pain and, tension I have over what happened. Well, I told myself it's all forgiven. It's not a problem. And rather than observe it and release it, I just stuffed it into my unconscious mind. So when I would say the word, oh, it's not a problem, I forgive you, the bottom's going to drop out of my voice because somehow my voice knows, not yet. And my conscious mind, my desire to be a good person, overrode the frequency or the truth of what's going on.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So if we use certain frequencies for healing, I would assume that works also for our pets.
Okay, I didn't understand. You could try that again?
Does that also work for animals?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Now, the way that Sherry does it, she says that the animal often takes on the illness of its owner.
Oh, okay.
In an energetic way. So when Sherry prepares sound boxes for someone, like let's say I have diabetes and you don't want to listen to that. But if I have diabetes, maybe myself and my cat do want to listen to that. On my musical CDs, I've done generic things. So I have frequencies to tune your body organs, because that's pretty much the same between you and I. And we all benefit from being in tune. Tuning up the musculars or giving vitamins. I have ancient techniques where we're providing sound patterns to complete your aura, which has a tremendous influence on your body. So we can lighten your aura. We can connect you to nature. I have sound frequencies of crystals and little patterns and matrix of that higher energy. Those are generic. So you can do drive-by healings. Somebody walks into the room and you're doing music to, let's say, do cathartic release to get rid of negativity you've hidden from yourself. They come in, they can also benefit from that. Whereas when you have a very specific illness, it's very important to not, blast that to a crowd. Mm-hmm. Just like you wouldn't go into a hospital and, start popping everybody's pills. You wouldn't think of that. But we somehow don't know about the potency of sound. Probably because sound comes in small doses. So here's what I have to say on that. Think of the Grand Canyon. And you look at the Colorado River and the water bends around those rocks. So you say, hey, rocks roll. And then you look up at the canyon and it's like, maybe not. Because the slow, subtle, constant stream of energy from that water adds up. And so it is with slow and subtle sounds in our body. They add up and become very transformative. We don't notice. If we look at it, oh, we heard that music, what's the difference? Just like we look at the bottom of that Grand Canyon at the water going around the rock, we don't notice the longer term impact, but it's there.
Okay. So I was on your website, of course, and I found something that you are talking about, and that is body flossing with sound. What is that?
Okay. There's many ways to approach this. One is that, let's say we look at a perfectly healthy person. Mm-hmm. They have frequencies, like every frequency. So if I'm perfectly healthy you can count the frequencies in your body and lump them into like the range of a musical note. So I can say, okay, and there's software to do this. So I can say, okay, I got 50 hits in my body. 50 things are the note is C. 50 are C sharp. 50 are D. 50 are E. Then I'm pretty doggone healthy. Of course, my frequency chart does not look like that. I have a personality. I'm good at some things and not at others. And that takes my, if this is like C, C sharp, D, E, F, that takes my chart and kind of does this. So I have way too much of patience and not enough of perhaps standing my ground. And so when it comes to health, you want an equal amount of every single frequency. Let's say I have an abusive father, which I didn't, but let's say I do. And I get scared of him. So my body is conscious and it will even destroy the ear hair that picks up his voice. And you can check this over time. It was done by a French doctor, Mattson, right after the World War II. He noted that all the Jewish people were all tone deaf in the area of the sirens. And what happens is, so you literally tune out, literally, physically. And so then let's say that dad dies and I meet the love of my life, but he's got the same pitch of voice as my father. I will probably never be able to bond or have a relationship with him. There's no resonance. There's no sharing of energy. And let's say my pituitary gland needs that same frequency for health. Well, if I've lost that ear hair, I'm not getting that. So we can tune out things that we need on an emotional, protective way. And the work of Dr. Mattson, he had this thing called an electronic ear. And way back in the day, he died in 2001. I mean, it was $8,000 to get a treatment. And he would analyze your hearing and come up with the very precise frequencies that you're missing. We don't really notice that. Doesn't mean you're deaf. So let's say there's 50 cycles per second or frequencies in between A and B flat, and you're only missing 3 of them. But those 3 could be critical. And then he would give those to you. A person who had received his treatment, Patricia Jondre, she's passed now, but she was from British Columbia, was very concerned that this was so fabulous that he was able to restore those ear hairs so that you could receive all the frequencies, so you could get everything. And what she did was she offered a cheaper alternative. She would like get a tape of Gregorian chants or early classical music and just take like the treble bass button. So it would be all high and tinty, low and bass, high, low, high, low. And come to think of it, what it did was it exercised your ear hairs. An ear hair gym, go figure. So you're doing this to your ear hairs and you strengthen them and they grow. You improve your ability to receive all frequencies. So that's one way in which you can restore frequencies. Here's another way. This is very ancient. It would be by starting at the lowest tone you can utter. Ooh. In your body, as I said earlier, it's conscious. There's my lover. Sorry.
Yeah,
big squirrel, maybe a trash bag. It's big news out there.
We are not CNN.
Okay. So, okay, so your body will get stuck on tones that you need. It's just amazing. It might, so what you do when you're flossing the body is you go, ooh. And if you do it slowly, you'll just start on a low note and do not change your pitch. Your pitch will change when it's ready. You can take 15 minutes, a half hour to do this and start on a low note. Oh, and I'm stuck already.
Mm.
But if I did that maybe 5 minutes, then my tone's going to start to rise.
Mm.
And whenever I get stuck, that's like an ear hair being gone. It's my body's unable to process a certain nutrient I need. And it doesn't matter if I take that supplement, my body's not processing it, but I can listen to it and get it. So here I am taking my voice, I kind of go up, I get stuck, and I just hang there until my voice has had enough, and then I continue to go up. It's also called toning. And you can also do this with crystals and singing. So like if somebody's laying on a massage table and you have two crystals, like particularly tuning forks, what crystal tuning forks would be really good. They're on my site, but at any rate, and just kind of hang your hands by your feet, by the feet, and let your hands swing. And so they're making a ooh, 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 kind of softly going into the feet. And you'll start to open up the meridians. So you're giving yourself acupuncture now. So the pulses and the tones will go up your meridians, right up your spine, and right up to the top of your head. And as you do this, like let's say you start just, you're kind of hanging, getting those two forks, making their tones, going into the bare foot of somebody's feet. It'll be nice and loud. And after a while, it's like the body will push you back and it'll continue to push you back. So you're making these pulsing tones and the body's like, yeah, yeah, yeah. And then after a while, it says, okay, a little less, and it'll push you back. And then when you're done, you're done.
Okay.
So your body really can take charge because your body's so intelligent. It knows what you need. That's why, you know, if you get, you're pregnant, when I was pregnant, I just had to have mandarin oranges. So, sorry. Mario, stop that. Sorry, hold on. That's enough. Property. Huh. She's very upset.
Okay. So some people have a very huge range with their voice. They can go very low and very high. Yeah. So, and others don't. So does that say anything?
Yes, yes, it
Okay.
does. Hazrat Inayat Khan, the famous Sufi master, he was working on spirituality, health, and all kinds of issues, personality. He says that the best way to improve your life is to work on your voice, to spend time. He would suggest that you spend time going, ooh, and practice using different pitches, different rhythms. So I'm talking very fast. This is a different rhythm than this rhythm. And rhythm is as important to health in your body as frequency is. What's really cool about this is that if I wanted to tone or body floss, I can do it for me, but I can also do it for you. If I look at you and get like 3-4 feet or somehow connect into your energies, my body will make my voice give you what you need. So my voice is like, you know, my energy. And I think I'm separate little body in my own container. I spray who I am on everybody I love or who's near me.
Mm-hmm.
So that really gives me a sense of responsibility to have love in my voice, for example, or to be truthful to myself so I don't spray dissonance. And the ancient masters would heal people with voice alone. So let me give you an example. Let's pretend you're very angry, you're irate. And we're going to talk about what we're doing on this show today. It's going to be healing other people. And you're doing such good work. I could even take away from the content of my words and say, I love the color of your hair. I'm calming you down by not having any meaning that has anything to do with calming you down. Or if you're depressed, then I can kind of like start to give you, literally give you of my energy. You could even divide it into motions. Let's say I'm going to draw upon my root chakra. Now I'm doing this by thinking about my root chakra. Let's say we're just going to pretend somebody's abusing me. And when I talk like this, that person's going to find someone else to abuse.
Mm.
If I talk like this, man, they're going to be right after me.
Yeah.
And so there you don't have to confront the person, you change your voice. Let's say you got a teenage kid. Well, I'm thinking of my own experiences. And if you ever said, I love you or something, they're like, oh, ma. So you had to stay away from some things. But you can say, did you remember your lunch money today? There it's at. You just said, I love you. But yet you didn't say anything offensive. Many monks and religious people have, in antiquity, have spent hours and hours and hours practicing the vowels and the consonants and the alphabet and then words by just getting in the habit of speaking with love or an emotion they choose to alter their world with. And if I'm speaking to you, see if I can do it over line. I know I can do it in person. So I'm just going to look at you. I'm just tuning into your energy. And I'm not going to have I'm letting my mind kind of like go out to lunch. Now my voice is slowing down. So calmness is good for you. And notice my pitch dropped. That's a frequency you need. So I'm healing you right now. It's just a little bit. But if we spent a lot of time together and I allowed my voice to change pitch, I become a walking, talking healer.
Mm-hmm. Wow. So you already mentioned ancient cultures. Do we have information, accounts, what they did with this? And
yes, I have a book called The Lost Ways of Time, in which I have recounted the healing, and particularly with emphasis on sound healing, from Sumeria, Egypt, ancient China, all over the globe. And I just get so excited about it. Like today we think of Reiki as a healing method. Well, there were thousands of variations on healing methods with your hands, with sound. And they're found in the Egyptian temples. They're found in the inner circles of Lao Tzu. They're found in Buddhism. They're found in the American Indians. And what I've done in this book, The Lost Ways of Time, is I just present them over time. There's just some incredibly earth-changing info in that book. The ancient people somehow were taught how to use subtleties. And the sound is so easy. It's cheap, it's free, accurate, repeatable. To basically do quantum physics.
mm-hmm.
I would say in the 60s and the 70s, we said they're all stupid. And actually, if you read some of the stuff, it almost sounds like they're on drugs. I mean, they say some pretty silly things. But now that I've studied quantum physics with great emphasis, that's what they are. We, many years ago, deemed them as silly or superstitious when we simply didn't have the science advanced enough to measure them. It wasn't that we measured them and their stuff was garbage. We didn't know how to measure them. And now that we look at quantum physics, I mean, there it is. Like, for example, quantum entanglements proven. That's exists. And the Egyptians had a way of tuning your ka body, which was your quantum entangled energy. It's the exact opposite. They would create music during the day to balance you, because you know how you feel different at dawn than you do at noon.
Mm-hmm.
So their music would change to kind of like keep you in tune with time and the environment. And so they would tune you, and then they'd tune your quantum entangled body, thinking correctly so that if you're linked with your quantum entangled energy, if there's a problem over here, it surfaces here. Many times I would do healing with my friends. We all get together. Sometimes we do a healing and it lasts. Sometimes we do a healing and it works for the moment. We stop, come back the next day, and we got it again. That's often because the root cause isn't within us. So it's like this series of dominoes. And here's the dominoes. Here's the offending intonation problem, or the lack of energy, or whatever it is. And we got all these dominoes. Well, if this is in our quantum entangled body, healing this is temporary because it starts over there. And that's what the Egyptians were doing. How cool is that? It's in my Lost Ways of Time. And you can use that quantum entanglement through intent in your voice and sound. So cool.
Mm-hmm. When you talked about the difference between noon and let's say in the evening, I was thinking, because I traveled so much in my life, and sometimes I felt really wiped out by the jet lag. Would that be something that could assist?
Yes, absolutely. I've got a new book I'm working on coming out with time as a frequency, and as maybe a bigger scale of music. And we all know that time is alterable. Science has put clocks on jets, and with very high speeds, they slow down. You know, we all experience that. Time slows down, speeds up. You know, we're bored, it slows down. We're happy, it goes fast. And I know we just all figure that's analogy. I'm saying, no, it's not. And indeed, time is a frequency, and we can be in tune with time. So I do think that's in our future as humanity, that we can overcome that with sound. Mm-hmm. And also, you know, we get on a body clock, you know, and this comes from the ancient Chinese. So energy focus shifts in your body in a circle. So many hospitals will do like cancer treatments or different things at times when the organ's getting the most support, because we can measure this. And when an organ, let's say you can look at the body clock, it's established, and say at 3 o'clock, it's going to be my lungs. Well, like I have a CD in which I'm tuning lungs, just tuning the general frequency. So when you get on that plane, you're skipping your body clock, so that, you know, you've got different tunings that are not harmonious, in my opinion, with the energy of time. So perhaps we could just listen to my Deep Wave Body CD and see if you can't kind of start to do a tune-up to see if it helps with jet lag, just a thought. Mm-hmm. You know, to kind of swing yourself into the, you know, to what you missed and into the body clock, to get your circadian rhythms, which are triggered in the body through frequency. Just tune it up. Mm-hmm. I bet it would work, but I haven't tried it.
Yeah, but you have to start somewhere.
Yeah.
So when you say sounds can increase our IQ, how does that work?
Okay, that's a good question. As we've evolved through long periods of time, we didn't have headphones. Headphones are like a minute part of a second. If you were to take our evolution from start to beginning and compare it to like a year's time, you know, the invention of headphones would be a fraction of a second. Mm. So we've evolved and we hear in surround sound. We're unaware of it, but our body's used to surround sound. So the ancient Tibetan monks would produce sounds very close to the ear, and your head gets in the way. So if I'm making a sound close enough here, this ear doesn't get it because my head's kind of like blocking. And your body's not used to that. It's like a, ooh, what's this? And in low pitches, it only works in low pitches. When you get different, slightly different frequencies, like boom, boom, or something like that, because it's in headphones, your body is kind of, oh, what's this? And it will then open up your right and left brain hemisphere. And you'll subtract the frequencies. So if you have 20 here and you have 10 here, well, let's say 15 here, you're going to now have the difference, which is 5 cycles per second is what you'll hear. You'll hear it. And within a minute, your brain will match it because it's all internal. It's frequencies going from right to left half. So of course your brain matches it. It's the stronger wave that entrains the others. And that takes you down to deep meditative states when your body rebuilds, when your brain rewires and gets healthier. And it also puts you in whole brain functioning. Probably 80% of us function either in left or right. So what we're doing now with sound and this technical thing from the Tibetan monks, and I have a machine on my site called the Sound and Light Machine, which will do this for you. It's fabulous. Anyway, so you get in the habit of being whole-brained. Whew. Wow. And so you get in the habit of being whole-brained, which makes you smarter. And then there's many institutions and renowned universities and research center that will tell you what happens when your body's in certain brainwaves. And I have a lot of this in my Ancient Sounds Modern Healing book. So you can say, like, you know, I need my body to make a certain healthy nutrient or supplement. And I need to be in theta. I need to be at this brainwave. And then my body makes that. So you could turn on the little machine, go down to theta or delta or, you know, very low frequency. You're meditating, extending your life. Perhaps science says you can. You're creating healthy chemicals. You're increasing your intuition. You're making yourself whole-brained and smarter. And this particular machine is really cool that I have on my site. It puts in the frequencies, and you can like dial a brainwave, and then it also puts frequencies in your eyes. Mm-hmm. So we tend to think that we only hear frequencies, but we see them. You see this emphasis in the ancient Hindu tradition in that they have like yantras or mm-hmm. sacred geometry pictures, and they say they're very healing. And I've seen that many times. Yeah. But some of the masters say if you spend one lifetime spending a lot of time, just stick them on your walls, look at them a lot, you know, wear them on your t-shirt, have a big painting above your, you know, where you eat or something. You can have ascension in one lifetime. And they say, no problem if you don't look at them, just take 1,000 lifetimes. And that kind of really jolted me to attention. These masters are saying, you can take in enough frequency through your eyes that you can alter yourself in such a powerful way that blows my mind. So we don't think that, you know, we look at something, but that's energy coming in. And so this particular sound and light machine on my site, it brings in frequencies through your eyes. You close your eyes, and then light comes in and it turns all kinds of cool colors. And then it does the binaural beats. And I did that for about 1.5 years, and I have all the psychic skills. That's another thing. You know, like mediumship is having a habit. Just repeat, you don't have to be special. Habit of being able to go down to theta brainwave, a particular one for, let's say, mediumship, while you're awake. And another one, let's say, for remote viewing, while you're awake. Well, this machine gives you repeats, being awake and going down. it helps with sleep. If you don't get your sleep, your body does all these really cool things at REM sleep, deep sleep. Well, you can produce that with this machine.
Mm-hmm.
Sound. It's very powerful.
So, in other words, it is also healing our sleep patterns.
Yes.
That,
So now, even if I have troubles going to sleep, because I've done that machine, I can go down just like that. So I go right into theta. Now, maybe I haven't, and I can even feel the rapid eye movements. I'm wide awake, okay, but I've got the rapid eye movements. I go right down because I've done this machine. I've practiced. I've used sound to train me to create a habit that's incredibly beneficial.
mm-hmm. So, another interesting subject that I found on your website was plant growth and sound, how sound affects plant growth and even birds singing.
Absolutely.
Can you elaborate a little bit?
Yeah. Well, first of all, let me say, you know, again, we think we're the only ones that are conscious. How can you look at an animal? How can you look at your kitty and not think that animal's conscious? Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. We can't prove it, but we know it. Same with plants. If you have, I'd encourage people to try, put a plant, have 3 or 4 people, and just feel what you feel when you tune into that plant. Just like I was tuning into you to correct my voice. So I tune into plant A, and I feel, maybe it's a spiky one, I feel kind of, you know, I'll feel a certain way. And I can bring in my 5 friends, and they're all going to feel the same way when tuning into the energy of the plant. Then let's say we go into another one, a beautiful flower, and oh, I feel so different. So in other words, that's the energy and the communication from the plant. I just don't credit that with the plant, nor do I credit that we're communicating. We all have abilities to understand other species, including plants. It's just that we've forgotten and we don't take notice. We have this impact and exchange of energies, but we don't credit it to the plant. So you'll find that plants, they love you, just like your kitty. And when you love them, that makes a big difference. And your thoughts impact the plants. There was a man called Charles Sweet, and he's written a bunch of books on prayer. So that's thought and intent. And they were on plants, hundreds of thousands of experiments. So he would have prayers see a plant that's dried and dying from lack of water, have prayers pray, and a control group. And the plants that were prayed after that had intent and thought had a much significant better survival rate than those that were ignored. And the same with too much water, drying from rot. And it was interesting, this is an aside, but I'm going to bring it up anyway. He got on lying to people. So he would take the plants out of the room, and he'd say, okay, we're going into plan A, and plan A is starving to death. It needs water. Meanwhile, he had overwatered it, and it's in danger of dying from rot. So the people prayed for improvement in the drought condition for the plant. And then those plants died at a lot higher rate than those that were left alone. So it was just an interesting aside that sometimes we think we know what's wrong with someone, but we really need to trust our gut. And when people prayed for the plant, the highest and best, with a little different twist in their intent and their energy back and forth, it's like when I tuned into your voice, if I knew you, I might think, oh, you need this and this, you know, but because I don't know you and I just turned off my mind, I just kind of like let the highest and best from my body that I'm assuming knows better give you the sounds that you need. And in this way, when we pray, sometimes it's best to just take your mind out of it and just love and give the highest and best. An example, my mother-in-law was had heart surgery, and it was dangerous. And the whole town was praying for her heart. And I don't know, I kept seeing this dark energy from her lower. Anyway, she sailed through the heart surgery. Everybody was thrilled, and died 2 weeks later from kidney failure. You know, praying for the wrong thing. And so that's an aside, but back to plants. There's a scientist called Sternheimer from France. He was educated, I think, in Princeton, maybe, anyway. He looked at the amino acids of plants, their building blocks. So imagine a cell kind of like a jellyfish. It's alive, you know, and it vibrates. And when you look at something like that, you can come up with its frequency, the amount of movement, and the time period. So Joel measured the amino acids or the building blocks in plants, and they were songs. You know, a common plant in France was O Solo Mio. And so here you have a musician who's probably near that plant, kind of in a daydreamy state. He thinks he's writing O Solo Mio, but really it's the plant. You know, he picked up that song probably below his hearing range, and it felt good, and there it is. So whenever that song is played, it resonates with that plant. Sternheimer found that he had 200% plant growth when playing the song's amino acid back. Furthermore, it was more resistant to drought or overwatering and disease. And the other application would be, you know, you could think of a weed. And just like we talked about, like a cancer where you come up with the anti-frequency, perhaps it would be better to have a blast to get rid of the weed than put poison in the ground. Just a thought. There's another man called Dan Carlson in the USA, and I believe he was nominated for a Nobel Prize. Anyway, he was noting that, or studying that, plants absorb almost all of their nutrients at dawn. So I go out there at noon, I see my little posies, and I'm putting on my fertilizer where they're going to absorb this much. If I do that at dawn, they're going to get this much. But I don't want to get up at dawn. So what he observed was, he was saying, well, how do the plants know it's dawn? And of course, the obvious is the sun, and perhaps it is, but he was thinking in terms of sound being a stronger vibration, louder vibration. And what his study was, he produced CDs or music of bird chirps that are in your area that are around that plant. So if you have a walnut tree, you can buy the birds that normally are around walnut trees, because they're going to have a temperate zone they go in, and he researched the birds. And so then at noon, Lazy Jill gets up, gets my little fertilizer, puts on the CD first, lets the plant listen. It thinks it's dawn, opens up, then I put on the fertilizer, voila. And he was also getting 200% plant growth.
So you can trick the plant.
Huh?
You can trick the plant.
Yeah, or give them a broadcast. Just think we could broadcast our fields and double the crop growth. And then there's another thing, a work of a man called Callahan, and he was a soldier, I believe, in World War II, noting that cows liked the grass near silos better than the open field. And he was studying photons, and I think he worked with Fritz Alan Popp with measuring the light units. And he noted that there was, with a silo, that there's like some type of like little electric charge or magnoelectric charge, little energy charge going from earth up to sky, like flossing, like the body flossing. Here you got the earth going up the silo into the sky. Think of all your temples. Think of stelas. Think of antiquity. What's going on there? So what they were doing was that they were taking, creating energy flow from earth to sky, to earth to sky. And guess what? The grass was more nutritious. Mm-hmm. And he took it in even a step further and found that the soil was better. And he spent a lot of his life traveling around, looking at soil in different locations. And kind of a quote from his work is that in the Amazon, he traveled places where the natives were hostile. And he said those places always had really crappy, thin soil. They didn't have that healthy magnetic electric energy flow. And they're headhunters, you know, a little hostile. And he said whenever there was big, fertile soil and it was nutritious, and we had this flossing of energy, if you will, from earth to sky, they were friendly. And think of all the temples in Europe. They're over underground waterways. In fact, they're on intersections. That's why they're sacred. And in their basement, they're going to have a well, and that well taps into the underground water systems. And then you have the steeples. They're like antennas. And then the beautiful thing is people go in there and they sing. The healing, the flossing, the energy, the love, the reverence, the honor when you're singing in a church. And you're sending that up in the sky, and you're catapulting that down into the ground. It goes into the underground waterways. You're making the whole area nutritious. Mm-hmm. Even your temples in Egypt, they're built on water fissures. There's fissures in the rock, the closest you can get to a waterway. So you'll find that just not only just plant life, but also all life can be improved.
Mm-hmm. So just to make sure that I understood correctly, the birds with their singing, they let the plants know when to take in their nutrition?
Yes, yes. And then there's another man who has kind of just an interesting little tidbit. He took human voice and took it down 3 octaves, and it sounds like crickets. So if you get on the Google, God's Choir with Crickets, you can listen to that MP3. And the cricket sound taken down, you hear this like angelic choir in the background. So cool. And if you take bird chirps down 5 octaves, you get the same thing. Dolphins 7, you get the same thing. Whales 9, and stars 11. It's almost like we're in one universe. So you find that the bird chirp is this high, maybe dimensional energy, high frequency pattern. And when we hear it, it blesses us. The more you pay attention, the more we're blessed. Same with the crickets, same with dolphins and other large animals like elephants, turtles, whales. And, you know, we don't pay attention to the healing sounds, but think of it this way. If I'm a loving person, then I'm blessing everybody with my voice. Mm-hmm. If I'm a hateful person, I'm hurting everybody with my voice. Mm. And here we have these animals that perhaps are less involved into matter, closer up, and they bless us simply by their sounds. And that represents their energy.
Yeah. So when you look at the current medical establishment, do you see cracks? Do you see the possibility that they are opening up to those ideas, or do you think it's in general?
Well, yes and no. Yes, in that they have devices that are taken from antiquity and are sound healing devices. They just don't call them that. Like I have a CD, Deep Wave Body Healing, which I'm tuning to great detail all your body organs. Well, you know, CD's music's cheap. That's been used in hospital, but maybe one treatment's $8,000.
Oh.
So, you know, yes, they're using it, but it also gets within the whole system. And the thing that's beautiful, I think, about sound is that it's free. Could you imagine? All the diseases can be online and you could download the sounds. I mean, that's not all of health. It's more than just getting rid of a disease. You'll also need to, you know, intake nutrients, but that can also be done by sound, and it could be free. Mm-hmm. And as we all know, there's politics, control, and money And at this point in time, you don't have that political interface on sound healing. And I'm excited about getting it out in my books because people can start to use it at free or low cost. No, inexpensive, and over and over and over again. Life-changing stuff.
Mm-hmm.
It's the future.
I hope so. So right now we have a lot of hype with this coronavirus, or let any other disease. A couple of years ago it was the swine flu, then it is this and it is that. How do you personally prepare and shield yourself?
Well, Sherry Edwards is coming up with antidote sounds and has asked me to put them into sound.
Mm-hmm.
I haven't done that yet. I'm waiting on them. And there's one way. She has radio shows. If you want to go to Sherry, Sharry Edwards at Sound Health Options, she just did a whole portal presentation on the nutrients that you can take to counter that. So she does such a beautiful job, and that's her life, her whole life work. I'd just rather send you there.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Her latest presentation was on the coronavirus.
Okay. So yeah, I made up my mind. I'm not going to get coronavirus.
Good for you.
So, but I was thinking about Sherry Edwards, and I thought she's probably working on something.
Yes.
And yeah, I will have to email her and see if she's willing to come back for an interview, because I interviewed her as well. So now, while this might be ridiculed by some people, that it is not sound in terms of it's a little bit crazy, yeah. So, but on the other end of that spectrum, we know that they are using it for, yeah, malevolent purposes. Let's say sound weapons. Yeah, we have those. Or
yes,
you go into a torture chamber and they torture you with
correct.
Heavy metal music, thrash metal music, yep, non-stop, very, very loud. So actually they do know that something is going on with sound, and that
it's further than that. The French guy Gavron, after World War II, was working on, you know, big bombs, big weapons, destructive weapons. And they got very sick in their office, and they were able to trace it to the sound coming from a radiator. And I think then next they built like a 6-foot police whistle, thinking that's annoying. And the technician in the lab, when it was sounded, died on the spot and his organs had jellied. So they developed, you know, mass destructive weapons, and they were sound-based. When governments test sonar underwater, all the whales beach up dead.
Yeah.
Yes, it's a weapon. Yes, it can be used against us. Yes, it can be used to control us. And I think that we need to be very educated so that we start to look for and pay attention and defend ourselves. And the only thing I can say there is this, is that let's say I have to go to work, I need the money, and there's a sound there that's making me sick and I can't undo it. I'm stuck. I know it's bad for me. Your body releases endorphins if you like something, if it's good for you. If it's bad for you, you're not going to like it. So what I would do there, if I'm stuck with a sound or a frequency or a feeling I don't like, is that I'm going to think of the beautiful, happy, healthy, lovely state of consciousness I've ever had, the best. And then I hear the sound. Then I go back to this healthy, strong frequency matrix of all that I am or can be. And then I keep going back and forth, and eventually I will harmonize to some extent or master that dissonance. In my Lost Ways of Time book, I show that through the ages, sounds that we consider cool, nice, innocent, beautiful, used to be considered dissonance. And you see, as the music changes, we master more and more tones that are less harmonious. In a recent case, think of jazz. It was the music of the devil. Jazz was the slippery slope to you know where. Now it's played in grocery stores, so we buy more carrots. I mean, it's innocent now because we've harmonized to it. So one is that don't amplify a negative sound by allowing it to sing in you. Instead, sing the opposite, sing what you want to be. The second advice there is entrainment. If you go into a clock shop and you have a big grandfather clock and it goes tick tock, and then a bunch of little ones, tick, 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 within minutes, they're all going to be tick, tick, tick. And that's called entrainment. Science happens every time. So you be who you want to be. And if you're strong enough, you overcome the dissonance. You quiet it. You alter it because you're stronger.
Mm. Do you have any idea why they use, for instance, in torture chambers, specific music, specific type of music?
Well, yes, dissonant music resonates with dissonance in your body. So let's say I was abused as a child and I have a lot of fear and stuff. Chances are I didn't process it properly and it's in my body, literally. That's why if you worry, it's a certain cycle per second, it resonates with the lining in your tummy. So the energy transfers and you get an ulcer. So I have these pockets of, let's say, dissonance, abuse, not feeling enough, not being worthy, not being loved. Why don't you love? All this kind of stuff within me. And then they produce dissonance. And what it does is it resonates. So it takes up all that negativity within me. Now, if I chose, then what I could do is just observe it and let it go. That's called catharsis. I have music that does that, that takes it out and lets it go. But if you like keep doing it with a jackhammer, not giving them any instructions, instead of releasing it, if they hang on to it, if they say, oh, nobody does love me, I'm not worthy, then instead of releasing, you amplify. And also think to the French scientist Gavron, you kind of jelly your organs with the volume.
Mm.
I mean, it's rotten on physical, emotional, and mental levels.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, okay, that Mozart, for instance, is not as good for torturing than, let's say, heavy metal music. I know years ago there was some bands were very upset that their music was actually used in so-called torture chambers in Abu Ghraib.
Well, it can have good impact. Think it can be either way, though. Very negative, new sounding negative. But let's say I'm a person and I've got I'm set in my ways, and I have a lot of kind of small-minded, selfish, self-serving ways. Think of me as like wearing armor, that like plexiglass that you can't see, but man, I'm not changing. You know, sometimes those sounds, that negative sound, can go in there and like shatter. Or think if you have cataracts and perhaps it shatters. You can either then grow your cataracts back to a greater degree in this analogy, or you can let them go. It can be either way.
Mm-hmm. When I look at what you explained about the ancient people and sound healing and what they knew, I sometimes have the impression we devolved quite a bit. Would you say?
That's my whole thing in my Lost Waves of Time. I'm relating, in that book, I'm relating consciousness with their music. So just like the plant doesn't have perhaps the evil intent that we do, because we're more involved in matter. So I like to think of it like, you know, we all maybe started as God, and then God separates, and then he knows himself as separate. And so you get angels or beings, or whatever kind of analogy or thoughts you can accept. And finally, you know, we come in on earth, and you look in history, we're group souls, we're tribes. And even in the Bible, they talk about like Moses coming down from the hill, and I guess Aaron, his brother's been into calf worship or idolism or something, and Moses told him, don't do that. So they kill him and his clan, you know, that's genocide. But yet, you know, in a tribe, you all live or die as a tribe. And if someone's going to betray you, you know, it's a whole different way of thinking. So even as humans, you know, we come in and we become more individualized. And it's only been, I think, with the music of, let's say, 3, 2, and 1, kind like the last 50, 75 years, think of Elvis Presley, I did it my way, where we're really getting comfortable with being a totally separate entity. In my lifetime, I remember as a child, everybody in our neighborhood, we were in and out each other's houses. It was a neighborhood, and we were a cohesive unit. I don't know my neighbors today. You know, it's changed. We're involving. And the ancient people, when you look at their music and their energy techniques, I think in many ways they are more involved because they weren't as involved in matter. And then I've often wondered, what are we all crazy? You know, I mean, there's billions of people. We all masochists? What are we doing incarnating here? And I think it's the fast way to become like a child of God grown up. In a world of duality, you have a lot of pain, but, you know, I can't give to you if you don't need anything. I can't forgive you if you've never done anything wrong. So you have those opportunities when you're an individual, and you also have opportunities to overcome, so that someone can hurt me and I can step back and say, oh, I see you feel that way, and don't take it personal, you know, and don't hurt or don't engage in that. So those are behaviors that really evolve us. So I just, that's what one of the premise of the Lost Ways of Time is. I'm just showing how music does it, like the analogy of the Pied Piper. You know, hear the music and you have people more of a group soul, not as much negativity, and then, you know, you start to come down. But what triggers the more individual consciousness? And I'm saying it's music.
Do you see that the future is, yeah, you kind of said it, but what is your estimate? How long will it take until we shift our consciousness in terms of frequencies and really let it sink in and comprehend what it is doing, and what we personally and collectively could do with it?
Well, I think both are important, personal and collective. But when I spent many years working on this Lost Ways of Time book, I noted that the music had numeric patterns. So it's kind of like based on 9 notes apart: 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And rap music being 1 beat, 1 note. And when you look at the time periods associated with ancient music, and it's a little sketchy because you get into legends, but nonetheless, you see that what the ancients would call a great year, 26,000. It's like when we wobble on the Earth's axis, we have a different angle of the stars, and it takes about 26,000 years to go through this big year, as the Chinese would say. And as we do that, the sounds kind of behave, the music behaves like harmonics, or balances harmonics. So the first one is harmonious, the golden age, it's called in antiquity. Lasts a very long time. And your first harmonic is a whole octave. It's very resonant. It is a huge difference between tones. Your second harmonic, let's say, is the musical fifth. It's also very pleasant, a little less duration. And when you look at your harmonics, they have less space in between them. And I would liken time, in my opinion, to harmonics. And everybody like Nostradamus, John the Beloved in Revelations, all these end time predictions are for the end of a cycle, a harmonic cycle. And towards the end of a harmonic cycle, the energies become very dissonant and resonate with us. So you have weather patterns that are bad. The earth releases all the hidden dirty secrets from religion, from governments, from politics, from groups. You know, it just can't remain hidden. It's like it all bubbles out. It's like we're purifying ourselves before moving into a golden age. So a golden age, you know, it's not going to happen in 1 year because we're talking about a 26,000 year cycle. So maybe 12 years, maybe 20 years, maybe 30 years, some type of time period to go from end times to new times. So and even as dawn happens, you know, the darkness fades as the lightness builds. So, you know, you have this dissonance coming in here, and then the beginning of a new harmonic cycle is very pleasant, and it kind of comes in this way. So I think we're in a transition time, and my opinion only would be that you can average all of our frequencies. Like let's say Jesus was 1,000, maybe I'm a 500, maybe you're a 600. But you could average all of our consciousness in terms of how fast it vibrates in numbers. And, you know, Hitler's a minus number. And so when you get all these, when you average them out, you come up with perhaps how our future unfolds. So the most important thing you or I do is decide who we are, because there's nothing more important than that, because we add to the wave pool. And here's another thing with music. Let's say you're on a piano and you go C, C. Maybe there's on a low octave 100 cycles per second between a low C and a high C. Go up to the top, high C, C. Maybe there's 2,000 cycles per second between that octave. So you just need a handful of very evolved people that can raise their consciousness, because they're going to have an exponential effect on the lower vibe. So if a lower vibe improves a whole octave, the earth gains 100 points. Whereas if a higher light improves an octave, the earth gains 2,000 points. So people that are just regular people, you and me, everybody else, that are just living their lives trying to do their best, they quit the worry, quit all the other stuff, and just go into that love, have it out on their voice and their being, and just simply be the best, be love, be trust, be faith, be hope, be all these things. And you can choose that with your feelings and thoughts. That has a huge, I think, impact on our collective future.
Yeah. Just out of curiosity, during my travels, of course, you meet a lot of people. And sometimes I met women that had, I don't know how to describe it, very high-pitched voices, like almost like Mickey Mouse, like, "Hi, honey, how are you?" And that, I have to say, that was really, really annoying to me, because maybe it's just my attitude, I could be wrong, but my stance is, you know, if you are older than 10, please.
Yeah. Well, you're assuming, though, that high frequency pitch in your voice counts with high consciousness, and that's not so. Your body, to be healthy, your physical body needs every frequency.
Okay.
And you'll find if you're really healthy in your body, then you pull out deep tones. So when I'm sick, I talk like this. See, all the bottom drops out. And so think of maybe like the chakras, you know, it's like we need all the colors, we need all the energies, we need all the emotions. They all combine to create white light and wholeness. So in our bodies, we need the deep tones. We need the middle mental tones. And you'll find that the Dalai Lama has a not annoying high pitch, but like a third eye and kind of like he's drawing energy, higher energies in a voice like this. So it's almost like you can dial a frequency range to match a chakra and creates a different energy. The second thing is I can't remember if I said this earlier, but the voice can be used as a lie detector.
Mm.
And when we have dissonance, like I say, you ask me, oh, do you like my outfit? And I'm thinking, ugh. And then I say, oh, it's lovely. You know, my voice changes because I'm lying.
Mm.
Now, I've been taught to say that that's polite and that's what I should do. I should please. So it's like it doesn't register in my consciousness that I'm lying. But nonetheless, there's that dissonance going on. And the truth shall set us free. When we're honest with ourselves, we have more access to our subconscious. And guess what? If we're going to be healthy, if we're going to evolve, if we're going to ascend, whatever that is, that includes our subconscious mind, because that's part of us. And most of us have a lot of garbage down there. So we need to, I think, in my opinion, be very, very honest and full and accepting and allow ourselves to be. And we do that, our voice is wider, it's more comfortable than a narrow pitched voice like this.
Mm.
You don't get very much good frequencies when I'm talking in this voice. And that's not even the pitch. I'm just creating a narrow kind of feel in that pitch.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not as nutritious as a full voice.
Yeah. Okay. I get it. So you just mentioned the chakras. There is one thing that is very, very popular right now, and that is removing the chakras, ripping out the chakras. What say you?
Wow, that's silly. To me, I look at, you have subtle energy, mean a finer inner energy system, and that's acupuncture. Mm. And I look at your chakras as your subway entrances. Mm-hmm. And subtle, meaning small quantity energy comes in from the stars, from the moon, from the earth that we're not really conscious of. It comes in all these, we have more than 7, but it comes in our chakras, which are subway entrances, and it gets on the nadis, which are similar to nerves, and the energy goes through, and it's the nutrition for our body. And enlightenment, health are both white light, and colors combine to make white light. So if I look at my voice, or if I notice that I'm missing energy of a chakra, ultimately that's going to deprive myself of nutrients, energies, whatever you want to call it, they're the same thing, in a certain range that take my ultimate consciousness and functioning down. So, I mean, hey, it's all rainbows for me.
So you would not advise to rip out your chakras?
No.
I thought so. I mean, when you listen to some of the people, they make it sound very logically that that is the correct thing to do. But yeah, because it is an holographic overlay and blah, 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 blah. And that source doesn't.
I would say that you don't need to protect yourself so much as you need to master yourself. Mm-hmm. Allow yourself to be, and go to high love, high energy, high consciousness, and merge the best feeling, thought, ideas that you could possibly have with every ounce of who you are. I wouldn't run from it, hide, protect. Like when you do that with pain, like I gave the example, I want to be a good person. So somebody hurts my feelings. So I lie to myself about it and I just stuff it and I wear it. It hurts my physical body. So I don't want to pretend like, I put up the shield and I don't get your pain, because I'm getting your pain. It's going to resonate right inside me. And so I'm not going to run. I'm not going to be in fear. I'm just going to let what is and choose love and choose higher virtues. And when I see things I don't like, I'm going to change who I am.
Mm.
And not if it's outside of me, that I perceive it to be outside of me, I just don't dance with it. I don't say, oh, well, isn't that hurtful? I simply say, oh, you're in a bad mood.
Yeah.
You know, I'm sorry you're in a bad mood, but if you choose, and it's yours, not mine.
Mm.
And I don't pick a fight.
Yeah. And I would also say that if you try to protect yourself all the time, you can get really paranoid.
Well, and you get insulated.
Mm.
Have you ever met people that have been hurt so much that they can't hug you, they can't look you in the eye, they can't even feel themselves? When you can't feel, you become numb. The problem with too much shoveling things down because you're trying to protect yourself is that you don't know you're shoveling things down. And the more you shovel down, the more numb you come. It's like if your body thinks you can't handle the pain or all the negativity that's on your viewfinder that you've dialed into, then your body like shuts down your emotions so you don't feel all the pain, so you can consciously operate. Well, when you shut down the pain, you shut down joy.
Mm.
You know, there's not a switch that takes out the pain and leaves the good stuff. It's like the dimmer switch shuts down the impact of your emotions. And when you say, people say, I don't know what my life path is, you ask them what they want, they say, I have no idea what feels good. Those people need to get my healing flower symphonies. And it stirs up a little negativity and pops it out. I got that idea and technique from Pythagoras. Thank you, buddy.
Would you say that that is also one of the reasons for depression, anxiety?
Yeah, I see depression and anxiety kind of like we're a thermometer. And here's our average rhythm. And here's a stressed rhythm. And here's our depressed rhythm. And sound and music can be very effectual in helping us to manage our temperature of emotions.
Yeah. And I think even heartbreaks. Let's say you have a love relationship or a romantic relationship that went wrong, it got sour, whatever, you broke up. There are people that would like, I don't know, like the pain is over like next hour. And sometimes I try to explain it doesn't work that way. You have to accept that pain, sit with it.
I agree.
And that way you transform it.
That's correct.
Yeah.
I agree with you.
Yeah. But we are very, very afraid of emotional pain. And sometimes, yeah.
But it's just an illusion, because if, you know, whenever you release, like in my healing flower symphonies, you will occasionally feel pain. It'll pop out. And you can't get rid of your garbage without it going through your emotional field. So you feel it on the way out. So here's your choice. Do you want to live with it? Or are you willing for a fraction of a section to let it go? But there's no options of not feeling it or not living with it. So to heal it, you have to feel it. I agree with you.
Yeah. Yeah, maybe it is, you know, we have a society where it's not very popular to be in pain, have emotional stress, emotional pain. Of course, we all have to look young and trimmed, and you know what I mean.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
that, of course, doesn't fit with what is expected of us.
Well, that's the way I feel that we evolved into matter, was we allowed these expectations to deny ourselves, to become a smaller package. But we don't have to choose that.
That's an interesting thought. So, yeah, there might be something to it. So, Jill, what do we do on a personal level with all that information?
Well, I would start listening to music and pay attention to what you like.
Mhm.
I've got sound healing music on my site for physical, emotional, mental. Um, music is it's so inexpensive. You can do it over and over and over again. And keep this in mind that you want to think about dosage. As long as you like something and are enjoying a music or a sound, keep listening because your body is conscious and your body's going to release endorphins when it gets what it wants. So music is preferable over silence, and nature sounds is preferable over music because we have GMO'd our music.
That's my preferred music. I have
Yeah.
to say that I stopped listening to music for some stupid reason. It was not a decision that I made. It just happened. But one thing that I really enjoy is going out and listening to the wind in the trees, the birds, the humming of insects. Yeah. Mm.
Yeah. My latest music, I've been composing with nature as an instrument,
Mm.
more so than instruments that use the equal temperament scale or this tuning or that tuning. So when I'm going to have a section of reeds instead of clarinets, it's reeds. I'm having really a lot of fun with that.
Yeah. What do you make then? There are a lot of, let's say, frequency sound samples on YouTube, binaural beats, the whole spectrum. Have you looked at those? Are they beneficial?
Of course, of course. How to put this? That's such a broad question
Mm.
because it takes in frequencies that we tune on, and also, but people are overlooking the musical scale, which is huge, and people are overlooking harmonics, which you don't get on digital.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, you can do frequencies for anything, and like I said, a lot of time what frequency is good for you may not be good for me. Therefore, I've selected music in which I've got generic blessing music, so your grandkids can come listen to it, and it's it'll brighten their aura, meaning that it may put them in a good mood. It'll help them be happier. It's all generic blessings, um, and some of the frequencies have pretty good generic things that are healthy for us because they match with sounds and numbers found in nature. But I wouldn't say that any particular one is out and out bad. It might be bad for you. And I do find that enlightenment is being able to master all of the frequencies.
Mm.
So on an individual basis, short of like reading my secret sounds and working with Sherry Edred in individual tone boxes, other than that, which is a little bit of not a big price tag, not compared to medicine, but there's a fee in it. If you just wanted to go free or very inexpensive, pay attention to what you like. And
Mm.
if you can't feel, then get my flower symphonies. And it will start, you might need to listen to them a couple times a day for 6 months. And you just start to peel out the negativities. And once you release the negativities, then your thermometer goes up and your body will allow you to feel more. Furthermore, it's easier to release pain with music than it is by normal processes. Normal process, I think, oh, that Frank, well, how dare he? Who do you think? I didn't deserve, and I kind of get like really entangled in my own stories. Whereas if I'm listening to a sad piece of music where I just feel alone,
Mm.
I don't hang on to it. I don't grab onto it. I don't say, I'm going to get you back, Frank. I just feel the sadness and boom, it's gone.
Mm.
It's much faster, stronger, and complete. So do the Healing Flower Symphonies. Know that every now and then it's going to little jar, and it's almost like you burp someplace. And that's good. Yippee-i-o. Listen for 3 to 6 months. You'll start to feel more. And then pay attention to what you like.
Mm-hmm.
You can alter your life in fantastic ways by simply what's playing in the background. No willpower.
Mhm.
It's accessible.
Yeah, wonderful. I didn't get that. What is getting lost in digital?
Oh, harmonics.
Oh, okay.
Think of a sound, and you're in a cathedral, and you hear it as it rises and pitches.
Mm-hmm.
It's harmonics, or another word for harmonics are partial tones. So the science of sound is that you have a root tone, and then you have these little after ripples. Think of dropping a rock into water and you see the after ripples. Well, the after ripples in sound become combined in the tone. So A, E, same pitch. Listen, A, E. E sounds higher though, because more energy is catapulted into the higher harmonics due to the shape of my mouth. I'm hitting these higher harmonic spaces. And our body thrives on harmonics, our digestion, our systems, they follow harmonic processes. And in digital, we average harmonics. And your body doesn't average, period.
Mm-hmm.
Nature is accurate.
Mm-hmm. And that you do not have with a digital recording.
No. Now, I have in some of my CDs, like my Deep Wave Body Healing, where I'm tuning the organs, I'm using software that manually or digitally, I guess, produces the harmonics.
Mm.
So they're in there as root notes, but it's, you know, whether it's a harmonic or a root note, it's just a sound.
Mm-hmm.
So I've been able to manufacture harmonics in some of my CDs. But if you're not doing something like that, you're getting average star harmonics. Now, you still get pitch healing. You still get the emotions attached as healing. So you get healing music in digital, but you don't get the harmonic portion unless somebody's manufacturing and putting them in.
Oh, okay.
Another reason why you like nature.
Yeah.
Because in nature, you can get healing music, which has the frequencies, which has healing intervals, which has healing rhythms, which has maybe the right pitches, which maybe opens up your aura, opens up your chakras. Like, you can do a lot of things, but when you go out in nature, you're getting the whole enchilada.
Yeah. For free.
Yes, for free.
You just have to go there.
Yes.
So, yeah. Jill, I thank you so much for coming on. It was a very interesting talk. I enjoyed it very much. And
Thank you.
so, guys, that was it. Night Flight for today with the wonderful Jill Mattson.
Yeah, and if you sign up for my newsletter on my site, I give you a whole bunch of free samples of tracks of different types so you can try it.
Good. Everything will be linked below, as usual.
Okay.
Okay, everybody, stay safe and sound and have a good time. Take good care of yourself. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.